that school choice bill this year was a tremendously weak, watered down version of school choice. I was really disappointed with that bill. You know, we were so close last year with a much stronger bill. I just knew they were going to put that same bill back up and we'd vote on it again, but they didn't. I was really disappointed. So we'll see what they introduce and see if it's really going to do anything. And if it does, then we'll...
Well, how can we make sure that we know somebody that will put in the bill that will sign up?
Your legislator.
Yeah.
That, and really, I get asked this question a lot, and it is...
Who did the good one that didn't get through?
Who introduced that?
I'm not sure who was the primary sponsor on
No,
that.
I don't remember. There have been so many over the last 10 years. I guess it's been about 8 to 10 years. Last year's was the weakest school choice bill that I think has ever been introduced in the state of South Carolina. There were no tax credits, there were tax deductions. The scholarship would have been eligible, you know, for anybody who applied for it under the program, but really it would have probably gone to practically about 1%.
Because there was a limited amount.
That's right. There was a cap on the program. So, you know, and the thing about school choice, listen, Policy Council's been fighting that issue a long time. For as long as I have been there, which is 15, 16 years. The truth is, what I'm afraid of is that until we get some of this other stuff done, they're not going to give you these things. You're not going to get through to them as long as their rules allow one senator to kill a bill. As long as leadership is empowered to make sure these things don't pass. Those are the tricks they've pulled every single year. They do it every year to us, and they plan it. Now, I'm not being dramatic. I'm not making this stuff up. Most of them will tell you, yeah, sure, we've got a guy who's retiring. Of course he's going to kill the bill. That's how it works, and that's why we've pulled back to look at what we have to fix first in order to get some of the rest of the stuff done.
Linda had a question over
Yes,
here.
I have actually two. How many members do you actually have as part of your council? And then the second question is, from my representative in District 108, he explained to us that a lot of times the bills get passed real fast through the House, but then they get to the floor and the committee will bring them to the floor. How do you get these people to bring these things to the floor to vote on?
Well, two things. One is the House likes to use that excuse a lot, that we can pass them really quick and then the Senate holds things up.
Right.
And that happens a lot, but it happens a lot because the House knows the Senate's going to hold them up. So I think if the Senate quit holding them up a lot, you'd see it slow down. The House wouldn't be passing as much. But the answer to the second question is, how do you stop them from doing that? Is exactly, it sounds so simple that you hear it and you think, well, that can't work. But it does. And it is when you all call your representative and you insist that they don't allow that to happen. And they can force things through. There's lots of ways through the rules that a representative can make motions to move things along. They can recall a bill out of committee. They don't have to wait. And believe me, when they want a bill passed,
Oh, you bet.
They'll get it out.
Top of the
you'll
calendar.
see it all the time.
Right.
They will, especially near the end of
Top of the
session.
calendar.
They'll make motions all the time to pull the bill out of committee, straight to the floor of the House. All the time they can do it. Now, when they don't want to do it, here's what you'll hear. Oh, we can't circumvent the committee process. We have this process we have to go through so the bill can be vetted, and so we can have hearings on it. And they'll tell you that, and it'll sound really convincing unless you know otherwise. They skip it all the time when it's a bill they won't pass.
Sure, or that, or today we're going to congratulate the state cheerleading champions. I hear that a lot.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time with that.
And it, we have probably close to 1,000 members of the Policy Council all over the state.
Good.
And it's, you know, depend up and down every year, but the membership has grown. It's really grown from where we started, and it's really these guys. There are Policy Council members in this room, and we appreciate your help, we appreciate your support, because you're the ones who fund this work.
Rick, you had a question, and
Yeah.
then Carl.
Okay, I'll call them Kevin Hardwick and Rachel Urey. They're my two, whatever you want to call them. And at first they were taking my phone calls and answering my emails. And now when I call, it's like, can you please hold? And I'll hold for like 10, 15 minutes. Then all of a sudden it's,
Yeah.
you know.
Wow.
And you know, I mean, and my emails don't get answered, or, you know.
Okay, so don't feel bad, because a lot of us are getting that now, and part of the reason is because you're effectively irritating them, and that's what you need to do, because that's how they're going to move. Get, you know, your friends and neighbors calling and doing the same thing, and it'll be effective as well. So you don't get through to avoid, call after hours, and then you'll go through to the voicemail, because it really doesn't matter if you talk to them or not most of the time. What matters is they know this is what you want, and they know that there's a lot of your friends who want the same thing, and there's people all across the state who want the same thing. So whether they answer your email or not, most of the time really isn't important. We like to get the email answer back and know where they stand, but you probably already know where he stands without him answering the email. Let him know what he needs to do, and you know, that's really all that needs to happen. So, if your email is not getting through at all, then you can leave a voicemail. Their secretaries get those voicemails.
And
They
you know, that brings up a really interesting point. Once upon a time, and I'd like to ask you all this, once upon a time, delegations held meetings. Do you all remember your delegation meetings?
2 years ago.
Is that the last one? Okay, why do you think they're not holding delegation meetings anymore? One of the projects that we're putting together at the NERV is to empower citizen reporters to call on their lawmakers to hold those public delegation meetings, to have citizen reporters actually filming them, asking questions, inviting local media as well, and having you all come together as a group. Don't let them define the terms of when you get to talk to them. You invite them to show up at the delegation meeting you're going to hold, whether they're there or not. There's some folks doing that in the upstate. It's turned out to be a pretty powerful
We can
tool.
have empty chairs.
You can have empty chairs. Right. That's it. So, you know what? If you're interested in that, let us know, because the NERV, our folks at the NERV are putting that together so that we have a central place to push out all of your meetings. It's happening starting in Lexington. It's happening up in Oconee, in Greenville. We'd love to see you guys do it down here. Let us help you.
All righty.
Yeah.
Carl.
Yeah.
Didn't the League of Women Voters used to do that?
They probably did something like that. But really, once upon a time, the delegations did it themselves. But that was back before we had all these questions for them.
All right, we're going to wrap up here, Carl, and then we're going to get to our candidates.
This whole interchange between the attorney back here and you guys has just brought me, for me personally, to one inescapable conclusion. This labyrinth that has been built is gaming against the guy on the street. And is it an impossible dream for term limits? Because that would kill a whole bunch of this crap.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna make myself unpopular because I do it every day. I think one of the things that we've seen with term limits is it doesn't quite fix the problem because it doesn't address the system. What happens is these guys hit the trough harder on their way out because you can't hold them accountable. And other states that have done it.
I guarantee you that if term limits were on the books today, the first thing the legislature would do tomorrow morning is to pass laws to keep the next bunch from stealing us blind. And eventually, like they're not stealing us blind.
No, I'm with you, but I'm afraid what's happened in other states is that they just steal blind their last term in office. That seems to be what's happening.
We can't stop that, but it will eventually stop itself when they pass laws that the next bunch can't get around. And that's what they'll do. They won't pass laws for themselves, they'll pass laws for the next bunch.
We just need to get together and vote the sorry
Right.
ones out.
No,
And I think,
what do you mean? I have yet to hear one of them get up there and say, you know something, the problem that the country's having, it's all their fault. Not me. I've been here 25 years, but it's not my fault.
Right. I love the ones who have been there 25 years and are now reformers. Your frustration is completely valid. What we want to try to do is fix the problem in the system so that no matter who goes in there,
Simplify
no matter
the
how
system.
long they stay,
Right.
they don't have enough power to hurt you.
That's right.
And that, to us, seems to be the best way to solve this.
All right, one last question from Chris.
This
Sure.
is to help Talbert out here, and Rick, if you call somebody at their office, send an email to ignore you and all that stuff. The next time you're on Oak Street